Hello and welcome back here to the B stream, and we are going to finally find out how the D group ends up. Elevate versus FURIA.
Yeah, it's not going to be the complete end yet, but just the end of an era. Yeah. Let's just put it up like that, right? It's the first round robin that will be done. And after this, we will have a clearer picture of how this group will shape up. Because every team would have played every team at least once in their group at that moment in time. And of course, the very last that we still need to play is Elevate up against FURIA. As you've just seen, the two teams that are currently on the top and are looking very happy considering the result that we've just had between Astralis and M&M.
Both of them undefeated. Both of them a full 6 points from the two games that they played yesterday against M&M versus Astralis, who just settled their score, and it wasn't a full 3. It was a 2-1. So whoever pulls points from this is going to find themselves rocketing ahead of not only the person behind them, but also the two at the bottom that couldn't quite bridge the big gap. This could be a huge decider on who is going to be one of our first teams close to confirmation from Group D.
Give some Yaz in the background there as is being incited by our observer. By the way, I was just talking to Justin, their CEO, of course, and he was totally not trying to bribe me.
No.
With stickers.
Yeah, there were stickers given.
I do have them on, but that's fine. I'll be hiding them. But he's like, you know, the best is going to be if we will be overtime, because then we both win a little bit, especially with that last result. So he's looking like he wants to get FURIA along with him as Elevate also continues through playoffs.
But enough about that.
Okay.
Let's have a look at the map pick ban. We're going to get into this as quickly as we can.
Oh, wrong step.
Theme is where we're going to find ourselves here. Border was the first removal. Elevate learnt a lesson watching yesterday. They're not going to play that game.
No, they're not going to play that one. I said, like, surely you ban Border first. That's exactly what they did. Don't want to go there because FURIA looked absolutely on a rampage right there. And they don't want to be a victim of that same fate. So instead, they are going for Theme, which is a map both of these have played. Elevate has, of course, beaten M&M there with a 7-4 scoreline earlier in this group, but they've always also played it before. So overall, they have a 100% win rate in these last 3 months. Whereas FURIA, well, they've played it 3 times, but have only won it twice. So there is a little bit of a weakness there that can be exploited if that has been properly prepared by Elevate. But overall, I think it's going to be a very exciting match. You also saw Cafe, by the way, there as the last map to be removed. That's also a very 50-50 map for both these teams. So
I'm so excited about this game.
I think, indeed, that we have a really good map to see these two teams go head-to-head on.
I mean, that's entirely it, is we watched their game yesterday. We see what they're capable of. And I don't want to waste any more time, Hap.
All right.
Time? I don't want to waste any more of it.
Okay, no, totally fine.
Let's get in to FURIA versus Elevate here. As the music kicks into gear, so are the two teams. 10 players. Elevate is the audience's preference, but I think this is going to be anything but easy for either team.
It's definitely not going to be easy, no, and both these teams will have to give it their all if they want to be coming away with a victory here. Because FURIA, they looked absolutely terrifying on Border. Elevate, while they really like to attack spaces that are open and left unattended, and that is something FURIA needs to keep in mind. Now, first bans to come through. Surprise, surprise, it is Finka again to be removed. Not going to see any adrenaline surges to come on the board this time.
Get her out of here. Remove
again,
her.
yes.
No,
keep removing her.
No Finka play allowed here. And the response is a Thatcher. Fairly standard, I think, for Theme Park. Theme Park is one of those maps, obviously, that it has its hard walls you got to break through. It is, in points, a very structural, a very hefty map, a very thick play space to try and push your way through. Azami, again, pretty high ban rate for the tournament in general, I think.
Yeah, and now I think it might be a Cade even, considering there is a Thatcher ban on the board. It's a bit more difficult to play. No, the Valkyrie. Okay, so we're continuing with the no information on the defender side. If they want it, they need to be a bit more obvious with bulletproof cams, evil eyes, maybe the Mozzie drones that they need to hack, but generally you would have an idea of you losing one of those drones. And thus, even though the Dokkaebi is being brought out here by FURIA, it is Elevate that starts off on the defense. You know, if we look at Theme Park, historically speaking, very defense-sided map. So Elevate definitely have had a good opportunity here to pick it. But if we look at it, because it has been played quite a bit throughout the majors so far, 3 times, you could take a guess at win percentages. I'm just going to give the first
Am I
30
doing this game again?
No, it's fine. 37 rounds, 70% overall defensive win rate.
Okay.
But then the throne room, you can take a guess on, it's not being played now, but what the win percentage is.
And I think that's one of the things that we'll, I guess, get the taste of, is win percentages aren't eternal. Win percentages aren't forever. There's a lot of noise coming from the other side. What is the other game? Rogue versus NIP.
Oh, that's definitely going to be a loud game that you'll be hearing right through.
Game.
Both these teams a bit more, well, not both these teams. FURIA was very loud yesterday.
FURIA was very loud. Elevate, they've got an energy. There was the sort of, I mean, it's Elevate. They're always happy to play, always happy to be throwing themselves in. And it's going to start here. FURIA on the lead-in on their attacks. Now, yesterday, both teams were big. Both teams found themselves towards the top of the board. They might not have expected it. Their opponents seem to have lacking of expectations on, to be honest, Elevate more than FURIA. I'm curious to see if FURIA are going to have the same lessons or if they're happy to put the pressure and the stress onto Elevate's game. It starts here. Just runs past Miracle there. He was rappelling up to the top. Didn't want to sit around in case they rocked from a grenade, potentially from the window. And we'll see if they can have a bit of a growth.
So with that Fantasy now trying to go in, some long angles he needs to be careful of. Of course, he just saw Inagiri trying to rotate out, and look at how open this is. There's no way he can sneak through or in anywhere. The drones come through, and it's going to be the first kill, and Inagiri drops, and that's going to be the entry for FURIA. He continues, though, towards the waiting room. Might find one in the back, but he finds the flick on DCH instead. Now towards the initiation he goes, but it's only 2 members left on Elevate's side.
I mean, that was just terrifying. The side there. Elevate's taking a bit of back. Mark is able to find the first. SDK finds Mr. Punch and leaves just Mark. Well, not alone for very long. FURIA open us up furiously. Take exceptional control over the top of the lockdown on Dragon. Just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. In Elevate, there was nowhere for Elevate to go.
No, there wasn't indeed. There was nothing they could do, and as attack pause is currently on its way, Elevate will have some time to, not with their coach, but between themselves, figure out what exactly went wrong. And I can give them a pointer. It's the fact that, you know, they had these long angles all set up. They knew that an entry would be coming in from the side of Cash, but there was no one there to stop that from happening. There was no one there to try and deny it. And with all these long angles, but they're not being contested, you find yourselves on the back foot real easily there. And FURIA made good use of it at that time. They made sure that they were able to get those entries, and then another, and then a beautiful flick onto DCH, and then you find the isolation onto initiation as well. And suddenly that round is already over a couple of seconds after it started. And as we're getting the tech issues resolved, Elevate thus has the opportunity to talk, to see if they maybe need to be a bit quicker on their setup. Maybe play a bit more together, more aggressive, potentially. Or Roamer downstairs to deal with that situation. But it seems like they're very quiet so far.
That's dangerous. Yeah. Sorry, I did forget. Now, this is one of the things that I want to talk about of danger here as we find ourselves. Mark, I believe, and you're the stats man, so you should be the one
He's wearing your pin.
to check it out. Oh, yeah!
He's wearing your pin.
That's the pin that I made.
Well, you paid for, right?
Yeah.
That's the joke.
There's wonderful pins that Pericote, the artist,
designed,
and I've been giving them out to people. It's nice to see one. Dev, I think, is wearing one as well. Anyway, my point is, Mark was, I believe, the MVP of the whole day. Yesterday was the top-rated player.
It was Kanto, actually.
Ah, it might have been Kanto.
Yeah.
This is why you're the stat person.
It was Kanto.
He was definitely in the top around the middle of the day. Orlando.
Yeah.
Love it.
But he was definitely up there. High rating, of course.
Oh, no, that was it. He was the top-rated rookie.
Yes.
That was the stat that I remember. He was the top-rated rookie of the game day yesterday.
Which is very difficult with Spoid and the way he performed. So that really says something about Mark and his performance as well. And you need more of that right now. As we head into round number 2. Again, the bunk is being used. Same site that we saw before. You see the same long angles to be set up as well by the side of Elevate. But the last time they just punched right through it. They just got the kills and no one was there to reply. Only Mark able to put a kill on the board. And that is something that they need to change. Be more aggressive around initiation, around the offense. You have all these long angles. Use them. Make sure they cannot just walk in, because that is exactly what they let happen last time.
FURIA. Will they step it up now? Obviously a quick tech pause, but it seems like all the players are happy, and to be fair, it didn't really slow them down in the previous round. But we want to make sure that everybody is dug in and stuck to this game. Elevate, as you said, the eyes are sort of on their response here. Theme Park does play well towards defenders at this point, but FURIA play well towards any game that's ahead of them. A very quick movement, and Fantasy somehow wins it out. Sapper does a big bit of damage on a gear. He suffered in the meantime as well towards the long angle onto the far side. Doesn't quite get the scratch onto anybody. On the opposite end of it, there are pings coming through, but the Nook is just being hot drone Fantasy further and further. He seems to go towards the side of Elevate.
It's problematic if this continues right here for Elevate. They need to make sure that they stop the aggression of the attack that FURIA has so far been able to bring, because they have been looking quite well in those 2 games on Border, now at the start here of Theme Park. Of course, it's quite early. It's only round 2 that's currently on the way, but them finding the entry again, no real punishing factors coming out from the side of Elevate. It's never really a good sign. DCH is still trying to go for a bit of a contest right here. Argus Chems are being shot up. That didn't down Fantasy. Don't worry, there was an Agiri with the DMR right behind it. It's going to be able to bring it back to a 4-4, taking out the one player that was a little bit low on FURIA's side.
That's it, but Fantasy already got that opener and took a lot of territory very quickly here, so let's see if Elevate can try and make some of that back, the game that they love to play. They have the control on the yellow stairs. You can see some rotation that's coming through underneath it, but it seems like SDK thinks better of it and is instead going to potentially pop his way up towards Cafe and try and get a little bit more of the flat pressure against the teams itself. Still over a minute. They can get themselves broken and breaking in. Mark's going to creep his way down the arcade stairs and keep, again, a little bit of arm's length. There it is, SDK, as I said. A little bit more of a secondary angle that they can try and pinch and put pressure onto the site itself. Miracle's just going to roll his way up, but the opener there means that he's not too comfortable. The drone's heading up either side from Mr. Punch. There was one that was hitting the stairs as well, so Mr. Punch is just going to get out of there and tuck in on the site.
Player inside a Cafe as well is going to be the true issue here for the side of Elevate. Is SDK taking out go? Aggressive gets one. Handy finds one as well. DCH gets mowed down. It's only up to Mark again. Is he going to be able to clutch this out in a 1v4? He gets the very first. The plant goes down. He's not able to find a second. Rare will shut him down, and FURIA is going to be able to get their second attacking round in a row.
Well, there it is. Slightly better from Elevate, but FURIA, well, they've been able to pull 2 in a row. They've set themselves up here for what is turning into, I guess, a bit of that energy that they had yesterday. And it was something that we sort of talked about with them. We talked about the team and the differences from the FURIA that we've seen throughout this tournament and the FURIA that we've seen from other tournaments, from the other ones, because they are one of the few that has had multiple, let alone every single one, that they've been present for. And one of the fun things that's been quoted, one of the fun things that's been thrown around is FURIA had a lot of skills. They could do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But one thing that the GOAT Julio coming over has taught them is how to press the 5 key in drone.
Droning is very important.
And this was something that FURIA didn't do too much. Julio, he comes over. Obviously, we all know him. Especially, I'm sure the Latin American fans in chat. You know the GOAT Julio. Came over and taught them how to use their drones. Taught them how to press the 5 key. Now, FURIA might be unstoppable because of what Julio has done there.
It might be. I mean, the drone is definitely coming in. The guns behind it are on point as well. And that is definitely one dangerous combination here. A lot of people are actually quite afraid of FURIA after they've seen them play in that first day. They've just made mincemeat out of their opponents. They just they just completely ripped them all apart. There was nothing they could do against them. And right now, Elevate seems to be suffering that same fate, at least for now, as the first 2 attacking rounds went FURIA's way. And you just saw, by the way, their probabilities as the first bound of pressure comes down. Even with a loss, as Fantasy gets the very first again. Mark to be taken out first. DCH drops. It's all just falling apart for Elevate time and time again.
Oh, this is it, though. FURIA, the combination of that intel, the pull of the drones, and that confidence to just move behind it. Take the firefight trust that we have. This huge ability with our gun skill, and then all that is leading towards Elevate being a little bit lost. Defense was generally Elevate's better half as well. It was what we saw the most of them previously, and here there's room for growth, that's for sure, because we're not seeing that growth that they love to sort of propagate. They pushed themselves out further and further and further previously on retook ground. FURIA is just wiping them off the map and then moving in an unstoppable force, is meeting what is currently a movable object.
Elevate definitely needs to step it up a little bit here. Missed the punch close around the corner. He needs to come in clutch. Gets one. Miracle off the board. Rotates back towards the side, towards Armory Throne. 90% win rate over this tournament so far. That must be a salvation for Elevate. They must hold on to this one to at least put themselves into a bit of a fighting position for the rest of the half and maybe even the game. Because if you do not win any of these, well, any mistake is going to be costing you crucially. SDK getting a drone ready, seeing if anybody will be moving out on the Elevate side so they can respond whenever it's necessary. You see some utility being used. An exothermic that just popped. An opening has been made. A door has been created. And they're about to open up a second one here onto the yellow stairs wall.
That's it. It's just going to get burnt through. Remove the mute jammer, but maybe just play off of an angle on a Geary. He's trying to find feet on the other side. Doesn't quite get it, but we've just seen a body move towards the door of a split as well. They know where they want to try and put this pressure. That's not wide enough. Bit of damage done on the top, and that will pop off. The mute jammer got caught out there. Great rotation, great move, 30 seconds. Can they try and follow that up with a great end of round? They're looking now with this drone. The catch on a Geary finds the fight, gets the kick cold. Suddenly it's a 3 versus 3. Suddenly it's Fantasy inside the site, pushes his way around on the side of split. Sapper gets one on the back line, spotted by the camera out, but it's taken, and Sapper takes one more. He's starting to whir with the LMG. Sapper gets the end of the round, and Elevate cling on to their first.
Had to, as well as his teammate, just been DBing out there. So Elevate, they win Armory Throne, but now the true challenge will be to bring it to other sides as well. You cannot rely on just that single site, because that will be a 4-2 scoreline, not what you want on a map like Theme Park. So as they do, they head towards the lab and storage room. It's a site we see them playing against M&M as well, and I wasn't too sure about it the very first time they played it. M&M kind of wiped the floor with them. They were able to just punch through, completely clean out whoever was on the inside of it, and after that Elevate, they went a bit more adventurous. They were outside the site. They were able to bring the fight towards the attackers of M&M themselves, and that's how they managed to win it a second time around. It's just, which one are we going to see? Elevate that gets wiped the floor with them in just like the first 2 rounds, or is it going to be them fighting back in crucial manners?
I have a little bit of excitement happening.
What is the excitement?
My little bit of excitement is Sapper pulls a 3K. Okay, Sapper came into this tournament as the highest rated player. We've mentioned that. Highest rated player for APAC South. We've mentioned that.
5 seconds left.
We didn't see it yesterday. Now, sure, the team won 2 games pretty handily. They got a full 6 points. They didn't massively need to see it, but now they're down a little bit of rounds for the first time, and this is when I want to see Sapper activate. This is why I want to see a player who, when you come into this and you watch a couple of VODs, you see statistics, you want to see them come to life. No more important game than right now. DCH trying to grab as much intel on the approach here on the far side towards the top of Cafe. They obviously have some use and utility towards a couple of C4s, but they're not going to mess around with their droning game. There's a spray through, and there's a Flores drone trying to say hello.
Just turn around a couple of times. It's going to be dislocating that player from the actual table. And now we need to be ready to catch him if he does go back. DCH, however, below will be giving out those pings. We'll tell him, hey, there is someone currently on that door. Is going to be watching your position. You have to be careful there. And as the next RC Retiro is about to be coming in, is going to be looking to find another denial. Is going to find the shield somehow as the player goes aggressively towards the window.
Oh, the Candela's the upside down rappel. DCH is trying to feed that as much as possible. And Mr. Punch somehow wins it out. Tucked around on the arcade corner. There's still the upside down rappel. The shotgun's popped and locked. There's nobody else to really offer any direct support apart from that pulse below that is doing the most important job of all. Rare is taken out on the side of arcade. Onigiri has the bottom covered. Arcade stairs isn't a route through either. Suddenly Handy's trying to go for the drive pre-fires, but it's Fantasy that gets 2.
Oh.
Handy gets 1 in the mix as well. The body balance is flipped over to Furious in the blink of an eye. Sapper retaken Cafe. Do they know? Well, they're going to find out sooner rather than later. Miracle's tucked around on the corner. He's looking. He's on his drone. He's a freebie. Sapper puts the 2 versus 2. Doesn't see the one on the far end. Just sees the sliver of Handy, but escapes his way round onto the rotation. Handy takes out the cam. They've got themselves the control of arcade. They're looking for the loose threads and the loose players. A minute on. Plenty of time for them to go for the rebuild.
DCH playing with that famous shotgun onto that pulse, hoping to put some pressure down upon one of these players that is looking to create some verticality. The RC Reteros are being used to do exactly that. Fantasy is on his drone trying to figure out where the Vigil's just gone, where the second player is. Pulse has gone unspotted here. Will be taking out the drone though, so they do know where he is. And of course, with that shotgun, doesn't have any capability of fighting long range like Sapper does with the K1A.
Sapper, are you going to swing? Are you going to swing? There it is! DCH gets the pistol pop at the same time. And Elevate, they've brought themselves back into this with a bit of excitement and fervor. I wanted a game. I'm hoping this continues.
After the first 2 rounds, they were completely wiped out of the map right here. Fury was not having any of it. Fantasy, not having any of it. Just opening it up time and time and time again. And now Elevate is starting to fight back. And suddenly it's a 2-on-2. And yes, they need to have at least 3 rounds, Emmy. That's the limit, or that's the bare minimum I'm putting upon them. The 4, that would be great. That would be considered a good defensive half compared to what we've seen so far. But 3, that is something you can work with for sure. And Elevate will decide to go back up to the top floor. This is the site they have lost twice in a row. It's the long angles that didn't work out. It's FURIA that continue to be able to knock them out of their positions, even though the second time around was a lot better than the first. Need to be a bit more effective. And of course the player in Cafe, that was eventually the decisive factor. It was Rare coming in with the LMG from Cafe, running through, getting that double kill onto the side. That suddenly shifted the balance from that 4v4 into a 4v2 in favor of FURIA. It was almost unable to be lost at that given moment in time. A lack of information, perhaps, but we'll find out as the round continues now to see if they will face the same problems or if Elevate have found a remedy to the issues they were facing.
FURIA, and that's the thing, it's still far from over for them. They're a team that keeps digging in. Famously, they're a team that, well, every round's a 0-0. Every round is a fresh palette for them to try and throw themselves into here. That's my excitement. It's not just that Elevate took a couple of rounds, but I want both of these teams to put on a sort of masterclass of fear into each other and into every other team in the tournament because they can. They are both massively capable. Oh, it's exciting here. FURIA. Can they try and stop the roll of Elevate? Steady droning is still coming together. Slightly different positions this time around from Elevate. They've tucked themselves a little bit further away. They're not giving them an immediate route through into the side of the head of a player that's happened once or twice before.
Nagiri was droned out, but decided to just run out. It's not going to take any much damage there. The P90, was that? Yes, it is a P90 on Sapper. Swings wide. There's a little bit of damage towards Rare, but nothing too major. Yet they're in, though. Fantasy finds the first again. Sapper locked off. The mirror window pulled up a little bit too late. Fantasy able to shut him down before Mark strikes back. Finally, they need a bit more of that. They need to find yet another kill. And then Nagiri is in that vault on a long angle. Might be able to strike back and find Fantasy when it's needed most.
Well, they're more focused on the site, and Mark takes the wing off of Mr. Punch, who takes the breath of SDK. Suddenly thrown across the board, and there's a slip pass. Miracle cannot quite get the end of that loose player, a 3 versus 2, and it's back and forth game. The dance between Elevate and FURIA is beautiful and very dangerous. It's about to try and crack its way through onto Bunk. Onigiri is still in that loose position. They have an awareness. There's a big rotate coming around. They're holding off the vault angle. It seems like they've got the call of where he was, whether it was because he sprayed through, but they want to try and isolate that single player. He's moved all the way back. He's popped his own mirror window at that point, and he's just giving themselves a little bit more, I guess, of surety.
Bit on, indeed, you popped that one, but maybe there's a reason for it that they want to go for it. Provide a bit of safety, I'm not quite sure. At least above the yellow stairs will be opened up. That's going to be an angle that now gets used by Mirror. A couple of pre-fire comes in, and Nagiri will be hitting in with the MK14, and it looks like Elevate might be able to put themselves into the lead here with 3 consecutive 1 rounds, if it's not for Handy, who gets shut down as well. And Nagiri with the MK will be pushing in, will be taking out that kill, and Elevate 3-2 in the lead right now. Are we going to see a timeout potentially? Don't think so, but it could be a moment that they call it.
It is a moment, and there it is.
Oh, called it.
Oh.
Called it.
Why do you say it like a New Yorker? Hey, yo,
hey, yo,
they've got a timeout.
I called it, man. I'm walking here. According to medics.
Oh, they have called a timeout, and it makes sense. The thing is, FURIA are still not knocked. The bite back there from, obviously, Fantasy being able to get a couple of kills in and amongst it, it's still that. But this is, for my money, the first time FURIA have been tested and stressed Elevate were as well at the beginning of the game. Neither of them have had as sort of back and forth a first half. It's not that they didn't drop rounds, but this feeling of a game at this moment in time is that it's only going to get more and more intense. You gotta try and find a way to stop that momentum. You've got to try and find a way to just calm things down sometimes. If you're the one that's suffering with the slightly slower pace, blow the whistle, get out the safety car, bring everything a little bit closer together, and then races off.
It's definitely closer together now. It's Elevate that is leading, though. As if you just looked at the scoreboard, by the way, Fantasy on 9 kills already.
I mean, if we're going to talk about wanting to see Sapper show up, Fantasy as well, you just love to watch him play.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about Fantasy.
But he's always there. It's like he's so consistently good.
Yeah.
It is insane. Like, the man is, every single game he plays, he's near the top of the scoreboard.
And it's just a joy to watch.
It is a joy to watch.
It's one of those things. Obviously, the rest of FURIA, they haven't quite hit the game as hard as he has. We haven't quite got the full 5-pronged sort of caliber that we had yesterday from FURIA. It's the first game of the day for them. It's the first time they're playing in the morning, actually. Both their games were the afternoon games yesterday. Takes a little bit of getting used to sometimes. Early morning.
You can ask Eminem about it.
Ask Eminem.
Yep. Still yet to win a 10 a.m. game, by the way. Haven't been able to do that.
Oh dear.
Possibly, maybe soon. Either way, FURIA on their last attacking round looking to make the difference here because they started off so strong. They were uncontested for these first 2 rounds. And then Elevate started to fight back. And now Elevate is on a point where they can actually win this half with a 4-2 and really put themselves up in a good spot. Drones are being taken out. Mark, he is playing quite aggressive right here. Needs to be careful to not be wall banged out. Decides to dig himself in right behind the mirror window. Lets them know, hey, I'm here. Is that going to reach?
Yeah.
Yes, it does. All right, that's literally just a pixel, I think. But it is going to reach, and it is going to be making sure that that side of the wall is going to be electrified. So no need to worry about that for now, except for if the verticality comes in. Also, yokai drones.
Yeah, they're looking for intel. They want to start playing a game where they're saying, you're droning us so well, let's see if you can handle the heat too. They're trying to find a response, and if they can get a 4-2, well, they've got themselves a standard theme park, but it didn't look likely after the opening 2 rounds, and it's even still sketchy at most points. Big bits of control here over the side of Dragon. FURIA aren't hunting players anymore, and I'm wondering if that was the topic of discussion, as yesterday, all of them were pretty much winning their ones. Today, not quite the case. So instead, let's focus in a little bit more. Let's try and minimize just how much room and how many engagements we're giving to Elevate, and instead focus on putting some pressure onto the site itself. Force them out of positions and force them into more awkward fights. A minute 20, and we'll start to see potentially the wall pop to the pressure, and there goes the mute jammer. A bit too high? No.
He doesn't know. Echo doesn't know. There's no call out. He's still on his drone. He's going to be picked up there if they're going in on his drone. That's a free kill to Sapper. You just missed there. He was literally on his drone just until 2 seconds ago.
You saw Onigiri come around the back. You assume he gave a visual call there, like, Sapper, man, you got to move. There's pressure onto barrels. Mr. Punch wins it out, though, through the window. Onigiri gets the deep kill, and, well, his Sapper's almost caught again. Slips past. One more engagement and one more moment. They did get Onigiri on the backside of Throw.
The top floor.
They're going for the retake, but there's Miracle, like his name says, over the top, saves the lives of his team. A 3 versus 2. Massive damage done to Mr. Punch and to Sapper. They have a little bit in pocket, but it's dangerous to use it, so they're going on an adventure. Do they know that Sapper's slipped here? Oh, this could be huge if they time it. There's one. There's almost the second. Pre-fires the angle. Expects a fight. There's the kit. There it is, Sapper! And Miracle finds the fight on the far side. 20 seconds. It's an Echo who's just going to get out of there. He knows he can play this on camera. They know that they've got to hunt him. The calls come through. The flashes and the blinds. What can you do when the man has it? Doesn't have the kit. Doesn't have the angle. He just has to wait. And there is Sapper.
A massive ramp from Sapper, and now the plant goes down. The yokai drone will move it. No, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the yokai drone in the right position. The plant's going down. Maybe. Yes. No, Miracle somehow clutches it out. That was a round that you could not lose, Elevate. It was supposed to be yours. The timer ran low. You didn't have the yokai drone in the right position. And the miracles just happened there.
I am beyond words, Sap. I am beyond words. Miracle. Okay. How often do miracles happen?
Not often, but that was definitely one of them.
I count twice that round. coming round to save the players on top of Dragon with no awareness.
Yes. So there's two people retaking the top floor. Miracle finds out, cleans them up. Then Sapper goes. First of all, Sapper should have been dead probably at the start of the round.
He should have died like 3 times.
You should have died 3 times there, right? And he survived. And he manages to basically go on a giant flank. He digs in right behind the statue, gets that double kill. The time is running low. It's on 0 seconds. You have 2 yokai drones, but they're not on the right position. Someone should have seen that as well, by the way. The yokai drones were up there. They could have seen the player run in, and yet the information didn't seem to be there. Slightly wrong call made, going to the left instead of the right. All these tiny mistakes. As soon as the timer hits 0, cost them the round right there. A round that shouldn't have been lost.
I'm going to need a health check on XR Troika.
Yeah. Okay.
Big FURIA fan.
He definitely
Big FURIA fan. Just someone...
Need to know if he's still okay.
Someone just check that he's okay after that. Amazing. I mean, it should have been Sapper's round. There's no 2 ways about that. He did great to get where he was and be in that position, the movement, and then to win the second fight out. I was sure it was his. 2 seconds left. You're an Echo. You have drones active. You're watching the plant. And it's just...
How often do we see the camera S? I mean, it's Onigiri we're speaking about here, but it's not. How often do we see the camera S?
Pretty much never.
No, it's the C8 we always see.
It's maybe the only time I can recall seeing it. They're up against the Clash, SDK, just doing a little bit of drone removal. The Clash was played by FURIA on border as a bit of a powerful house on the retake. It's going to be potentially a buffer here against the approach of Elevate, a 3-3 half, which on theme does play itself well for FURIA on their defense at this moment in time. Elevator's trying to find that loose thread. Spotted the Clash there, and, well, there's a gun that I don't even think... You're probably hearing that.
And what is that gun?
And you're like, what is that?
Is this a sound bug? No, it's just a camera S. You don't really hear it often. Sounds really cool, actually. So, forgotten about the sound. By the way, 90 seconds. Sapper about to go on a bit of a strike as well. Grenades to come around the corner. Take out a lot of utility in ADS and the Mute Jammer there. C4 comes in, though. We'll take out Mark. Fancy with a good strike. That's going to be the thermite of the board, more importantly. It's going to be restricting the heart breach to just Onigiri with the heart breach gadgets, and that's not really too ideal. Elevate will have to fight some horizontal fights here into the direct doors, and that is going to be a struggle.
Well, there is Onigiri finding Fantasy on the swing round. The Clash is just forcing Mr. Punch a little bit further away. 54 seconds, and SDK is going to start trying to cause some problems. Slow down the wheels and see if they can try and put a beat on it. There's a fight handy. Is able to take the head off of Onigiri. The pings, they both seemed aware. There's a little bit more pressure. SDK, again, they pull back. They don't need to overextend, and this is what FURIA can do very well with the Clash. They cause problems. There's a player ready to swing either side if they need it, but Mr. Punch is alone. There's nobody else really here to offer any direct support. They're trying to catch the loose player inside the bathroom, rolled all the way through and popped. They're just going to get the slip by. They're looking for them. Tucked round. He's round one more corner. Well, there's a pre-fire.
It's an LG as well.
And there's a pre-fire. There it is. Finally finds it out. 3 versus 3, but 13 seconds. They're going to try and break through. Mr. Punch, he's hoping he can get the catch over 10 seconds. He's the man with the kit. They're just going to have to run through and find a fight. They're locked out first. Sapper gets one more. 4 seconds. Where are they going to find the dive? There it is. Sprayed over the top. One goes down. He's just got to hold F at this point. You assume it's theirs to take. Round the corner. Out of time.
There was no time to go for that rotate there. I think it would have literally been a better choice to just stay around Dragon at that moment in time with that kit and then just pushing from those 2 different sides, especially with the way that those kills came in from the split area. And now FURIA leading here as they get their first defense. It is an armory throw, and it's a very defense-sided side, and it did get quite close into the end here for Elevate. So there's definitely some potential they can work with. They've also learned a bit. They were just before playing the Thermite. They got C forward when they got too close. Now it is going to be the ace that comes out. It's, of course, a different size. The different strategies do apply, and you will want to get some ranged heart breach in as well. But that might have to do with the fact that, you know what, we just did get C forward. We do not have to be right on top of that wall if we want to open up. So let's just make sure we play a bit more differently this time around as they head over towards the second round of the attack. We see Nash, we see the Sledge, we see the Yana. Those are, of course, your explosives that will be used in either grenades or breaching charges. Get rid of shields, all that kind of stuff. You have to buck for some soft breach to get it with the sledge slot. No, never mind. A complete repick comes in. I'll just stop analyzing attacking lineups before the
I
repick is
think
done.
just relax, you know.
Relax that one.
You
So
know-
Monty deck comes out though.
Yeah.
That is also interesting.
Are you allowed to use that word?
Intriguing. Sorry,
Intriguing.
Milosh isn't here yet,
Milosh
so
is so angry somewhere. Interesting's a fine word to use. Milosh doesn't know words.
see, I don't use it as in I don't know what's going to happen, but more of a I'm
Yeah,
interested
I think
to
something's gonna be
see
interesting.
how it will play out.
This is not interesting. Mr. Punch is using a sledgehammer to try and smash open a bit of soft. There's an intriguing roll down of Intel hot droning on Agiri to see if it's pre-fire player, but nobody's home. See if they can try and find a bit of that hope behind it. As he said, Throne was the round that they took. So, if Elevate are going to want to try and stick a spear into this game and see if they can carry it all the way to the end, it's going to be here. The fight round onto the secondary and potentially tertiary. It was a 3-3 half, but they don't want to drop anything. And it's going to be told potentially on this round. Sapper, he's taking a sort of aggressive swing round fight as it was reinforced. Yep, he's trying to get the catch, and it's locked in. FURIA, they're not going to play any games with the Monty. They pull themselves back, a bit of a pre-fire round, but look at how they've stacked themselves up. They're controlling on the side of yellow. This grenade should get caught by that ADS.
Nitro. Yeah, Nitro to come through.
Okay. It gets rid of the ADS. There's a Wamai disc.
And that's not going to get it. Oh, look at that. 4 pieces of utility taken out with that one grenade. And this one flies far. Just not finds Fury. Handy, though.
Yeah, that grenade was perfectly played, just exploded on the precipice. And now that means that they can try and keep forcing themselves across. They're calling out the Jaeger there, holding the angle. Rare suffers, and Rare suffers. DCH is able to get the connection, finds their second of the game. The Monty driving themselves further forward and slightly further back because of the smoke canisters. But look at the angle they now have. And the one that they just lost, Handy, he's able to get that take, that bite round, and retakes Cafe. Might put a bit of a hole behind the Monty.
Monty will definitely have to go and check that, make sure he doesn't put his back towards it. Miracle will find Mark as well, so Elevate losing a bit of their advantage right here that they might have been able to pull up early on. Enigiri gets a trade, an important one at that as well. They need to find 1 or 2 more before they can really go for a bit of a plant. And with that, we have DCH that finds SDK. That's huge.
They've dropped. They've gone for the rotate. Fantasy's not going to find the fight here. He thinks he can get more comfort elsewhere, and the Monty's rolling in. 30 seconds. There's Handy. He's been holding that spot for the longest time, and I said Fury are more than happy to play that game. There's Fantasy, who went for the rotate, and as I said, he found somewhere a little bit more feasible. It's a 1 versus 1 once again. Sapper, the Monty, he's going to stick it potentially. He's waiting for the call on the intel. He's just on the other side of the heart. If he can get this up and round, he just finds a bit of a shield, gets the full extension, and runs and runs and runs away. And Handy has nothing else to really offer at this point. He's trying to find the weakness in the armor. Goes for the bait on the soft. He's going to try and force them out. He's going to have to pop it. They've played these positions before. There's the soft. There it is, the bait round. And there it is, not the full break. The Monty, he's stopping that truly go through and puts some of the damage in. Goes for the first knock. Goes for the second. Goes for the swing. 16 seconds. You've got to go for it now, Monty, at this point. There it is, the play round on the corner. And Sapper, he's not making the same utility mistake before. This time I'm confident in saying this is an Elevate round, but at least Handy gets the final kill.
It must be so annoying to play against. I mean, he tried everything right.
He tried everything.
I think Gary's smiling at that. He's like, that's funny. It's like, what do? You don't even have to watch cams. You just stay. You just continue watching that Monty at that point. Well played by Sapper there, by the way. Perfectly played out. Got that first kill going aggressive with the ADS because he knows if I stall this down, I will be swarmed with the both of them. There's nothing I can do anymore. Then decides, you know what? I need to stick it now. I need to go for that plant. And after that, perfectly kites around the last member of Furia, making sure that even though the barricade gets popped up, that he puts up that pressure instantly back, and there's nothing that Furia can do against it. And we are 4-4. We are still equal. And I'm going to say it, Emmy, unlike the last game where overtime was basically dooming both, an overtime here is basically letting both these teams win a little bit with that previous result kept in mind as well. Of course, both these teams want to get a full win, right? Let's just say it like that, because that brings them close to being confirmed. But in overtime, for these two, not too bad, because they're both the top team in their group. If they take points away from the other, that's already a big win for either of these. So with that said, if this gets this 6-6, I think both of them can still be quite happy about it.
I think one of the things as well is with sort of messy points at the bottom of the board. I know that they said 13. Sabrina said 13 is the number.
Yes.
But 10 is close to confirming. It means that over the remaining 3 games, there's a chance that if you take the full 3 on this, you might only really need 1 more round to be able. You probably want more than that, but you might just need 1 OT. And it doesn't even have to be an OT win. And that is huge. I kind of want this game to go all the way, but I'm selfish. And it's going to start here. Sapper pre-firing with the LMG, really making sure nobody's going to swing. There's a bit of concern of the play that was loose around onto the side of Throne, but Furia is going to tuck themselves in. They were potentially going to go for something quick with Candelas, but the fact that they had a glimpse at Ying means Furia is now probably very aware of this chance.
Or the fact that there might be some cams or someone up on the top. That is a good camera right there. They know exactly where Rare is. Around the split area, some pre-fires coming through, but won't be connecting. Rare's falling back towards the actual hallway. And that means that Armory and Throne might now fall, might now be taken under control by Elevate, which means that this verticality that right now is in the hands of Furia needs to be all decisive. They need to make sure it will be enough to stop Elevate, because if Elevate just decide to hit the side, there's one player there. What are you going to do about it? You need to start dropping, you need to start going back horizontal, but they would be ready for it.
Mr. Punch is going for the fight over the top. Where, as you said, most of the bodies are currently stacked up. It's a bit locked in. They have some of the control. They have some of that understanding, and it's Sapper that suffers down the corridor. The fight versus Miracle, who also suffers out of it. They have the little openings. They've kept a lot of it soft, which means that he can't quite confidently move up as much as he would like to. Another Candela pops, but that's 2 for 0. We haven't had a single body taken out of the end of the wrong engagement. There's the catch on the Invisible Woman, and there's finally a bit of movement. He's inside the site, just misses the head. He can't get the rotate. There's an angle above him that he doesn't know about. Drops it on the floor. SDK. He's just going to smoke the back of that. Onigiri finds Miracle. In the meantime, they're putting pressure onto the site, and DCH itself. Mark gets one more. They're inside the site now. There might still be that single player. The pings are all hot and heavy. Handy is able to find one. Onigiri finds one back. Mark's going for the stick. SDK over the top is able to get it, but he can't quite get the angle on the planter. A post plant. Once again, a bit of a spread out here from the side of Elevate. The Smoke is hoping for an angle. Handy's hoping for it too. There's pings on the player. They're looking for them. Does scratch damage to Mark. He's looking for the fight back, and he wins it out. Now it's just SDK moving in amongst his own smoke, but Mark pushes Elevate into the lead.
And this is exactly what I said before, Emmy. I'm kind of worried what happens when Elevate decide to go for just a horizontal push. Because what do you have? You have some players at floor, like top floor. They got a kill out of it, fair enough. But you cannot cover every single entrance, as you just saw right there. They get in, they get that plan down, and suddenly you need to start dropping, and you drop right into the angles that are being held by Elevate. And they find themselves on 5. And if they get one more round, they will be taking the point away, at least from Furia, looking to go for a full 3. But we're headed towards Throne first. Throne is the side that Furia managed to win on their defense, but we have to say it was quite close near the end.
Yes, it was.
Sorry, I was like, did I say something wrong?
No, it was close. It was close both times.
It was close both times. No, yes, it definitely was.
There was 2 very closes in a row.
And you know,
that was my sound.
Slight mistakes were made on either side. Huh? We just continue. But with Elevate right now not facing a clash, they might not have that same worry they had before, because the clash was super oppressive. The clash was super effective as well against the sides of Elevate. And now it's gone. Will that open up the avenue? Or is that extra gun that is going to be active constantly the difference maker that Furia needs to make sure it won't be as close as it was the last time around?
Furia, now they find themselves on the back foot once again, but last time they did. They then threaded 2 rounds in a row straight after. Difference is this time they don't have their tactical timeout to take. That might have been a bit of a change of face, so they're going to have to definitely hope that they can try and find the repeat of the success over this map, regardless of how slim it was. It's still a scratch on the board, and it keeps us pace for pace, potentially 5 apiece. It keeps Elevate off of map point. Onigiri once again with a heavy hitting cameras.
If you can get any double shots out of it. It's the beauty of the DMRs. You only need 2 kills, and if you just see a tiny slither of it, you're taking them down to about 40 HP, which is really easy to clean up for any other gun to be on the board as well.
SDK, he's getting a bit curious about Arcade Window, but pulls himself roughly around. You see a drone does get caught out. They know his rough positioning. They know the window's open. Oh, they know that they can do a bit of damage. Is
Drone
that the
hole?
drone hole? Yeah. It was the drone hole underneath the arcade cabinets. There's a pre-fire to cover Rare. There's a C4 ready and ripped to go over the top. It's pre-ripped so they can... Oh no, mess it up, unfortunately. It was pre-ripped so they could do it without noise, but the false start means that they have all the safety in the world.
And this time, not losing anybody to that C4 is crucial, because the last couple of, like the last round, not the last couple of rounds, they lost their heart breacher to that C4 that just got tossed over. Grenades now being sent in to get rid of any PC utility right behind that wall. That will allow Mark to get into a position to start opening up. Now the big question is, are they going to be dealing with these roamers? DCH finds Miracle, Grade, Handy still inside Drug Lab though on that roaming position, but it seems like Elevate not wanting to attack that position, that could be like just the right choice to not go for that clear.
Fantasy finds DCH back over the back line, and they're going to rotate and try and retake the side of Yellow, but they get revealed. The Candelas start to pop through. They've got the breach open towards the site itself, but they don't quite have the confidence to move behind it. They're finding themselves closer and closer towards being in the middle of a bit of a FURIA sandwich here. Sapper has to be so delicate with their movements. One heavier step, and they're going to be entirely rocked and dropped. There's 3 players. The pings come through. The hatch gets broken above them. Sapper with the rotate now around onto Drug Lab. Do they know that he's been able to slip his way through? Does he know that there's a player? Do we know? There's 20 seconds, Elevate. You've got to start to make a little bit of a move here. All the attention is played around the back of Yellow Stairs, but one of the breaches, there's still that player behind the chassis. There it is, the roll through the rock, and suddenly Elevate's got to try and get drived on. Mark gets one, but there's a down upstairs. It's a technical 2 versus 2 versus 1. Mr. Punch, all that's left with 1 second to pull it out, and we are back balanced.
They had the right idea there, but I think Sapper might have made a slight mistake. He wanted to attack the side as well, but he didn't know that there was 2 players around him. He had one in barrels, he had one in the Drug Lab. If he would have just stayed alive there, he could have been destroying these people as they rotated back towards the site. If he would have stayed alive, if he would not have tossed in these Candelas at the moment he did, he could have been making sure that round would have gone to Elevate. But we find ourselves at 5-5 now, equal scorings. And Lab and Storage is going to be the next one we head to. And of course, the Armory Throne is the only side that has been won by FURIA twice now in the defense. Means that something needs to change. The last time we were out here, it was a horizontal push to come in from Elevate. They did not really pay any attention towards the verticality. And that is something they need to pay attention to now on the side of FURIA. Maybe not just play 1 player onto the site directly. Maybe get 2. Maybe get 3 around. Make that top 4 hold a little bit weaker, just so you can stop Elevate as they start to push in. Because they only need 1 round to take a point away from them. And you only need 1 round to take points away from them. It really is a very important round. Round 11 it is. Who gets the opportunity to fight for 3? That's literally the question we will be answering in a couple of seconds.
5-5. And I said I wanted a game, and we've definitely started to be handed one, but who will be that one? Who will be that precious point taker that guarantees themselves at least something? Because at this point it could be either of them. It's been a back and forth between the 2 teams consistently across the entire face of theme. And now it's down to see if Elevate can try and drive it through. Little missed moments have pulled away from them. They're going for quite a quick cut through, concerned. But as the pop comes against it, Sapper is once again in this aggressive position. He was able to take the pressure down onto the site.
Yeah, last time, of course, they got into that early gunfight with Miracle, but not really either of them take any damage. They want to take control of the actual Armory Throne, but they've just figured out someone is in control room. An impact got used. They saw it get opened up, and that means attention needs to be split, potentially. As I believe a rotation came around, and Sapper already finding himself on the top of the yellow here, trying to cut off any of the rotations. There he goes, gets the first Fantasy locked off, and that's a huge and important pick.
That's it. He's gone for a slightly different position than he was in before. Last time he tried to keep the corridor unlocked, and this time he's got the first. Onagiri finds Rare, and the second is starting to fall. The throne wall gets cracked open, and Onagiri slips his way into split with deep eyes directly through onto the heart of the site of Drug Lab. There's a player, a single substance on the back of the site itself, but a bit of a retake over the top of Yellow Stairs. If SDK can cause a surprise party the same way the Candelas did, this could suddenly explode the round back up once again into potentially FURIA's favor. Miracle's doing everything he can. SDK doesn't quite get the gift as of yet. DCH is going to roll. this drone past, and they're just going to let it go and hope that they can get it and swing around at the end. Was that the true reveal? As Candela's in pocket and a smoke canister popped off. There's the blind. Are they going to push it in amongst it? They do. The player cannot see anything. Safety first. Safety first. And it's somehow SDK. Mr. Punch and Miracle find one apiece on the backside. 50 seconds. And they've got to try and bite their way through to the two remaining players.
SDK still alive. He's rotating all the way around. It's just Miracle onto the side now. He needs to hang on just a little bit until SDK is able to return. There's a little bit of damage to Onigiri right here, but he gets taken out. And that means the side is now open. SDK comes in from the back though, finds Onigiri. Not quite to confirm yet. It's with the SMG. He needs to reload both his weapons. And Mark can now go for the plans. The cover not quite there yet. Mr. Punch, he needs to get into the right position. These pings continue to come out. SDK, he needs to run for it. And that's exactly what he's doing. He wants to get into the side, but he gets taken out. Mark will get the kill. It's elevated at 1 point on the board. And the opportunity to fight for all three.
It's still so close. Every round is turning into a bloodbath between these two teams. Elevator the first to hit map point, but as I said at the start of that round, it is just as likely to see both of them at it. FURIA. 1 round separates them from taking some points from this. 1 round separates Elevate from rocketing to the top of the board unbeaten in their first 3 games. Their chances turn into something roughly around 96 to 98% of escaping groups. We'll get the full confirmation of all of that at the end. For now, all we need is the confirmation of this. Do we go to OT, or do we have it end here? Both are just as likely. Flip as many coins.
As many as you want. And with that, Elevate. A little bit of pressure on you now. But I think they are underdogs in this tournament. Of course, we know Elevate. We've seen them before. We know what they're capable of, and unfortunately, we didn't see them play in Charlotte. They could have made some upsets happen there. And it's definitely what they want to do here. They want to be coming in at the top of that group. Show 8-Back is here to play as well. Whereas that one, Kia so far has been failing. They are 0-3. It's Elevate that is looking to be 0 or 3-0 rather. The complete opposite. Drones get tossed in. Miracle is positioned. His attempted spawn peek will be given away, but at least he will find that piece of information. Stops it from being utilized any further. SDK decides to hide behind the desk and cash. Now if a drone goes a little bit wide there, doesn't quite spot that player, it could be massive opening for the side of FURIA. However, with everybody stacked around him in that current position, it could be a clear point of contact for Elevate. Something they try and encircle, something where they try and isolate the players. I believe a Brazilian team just won 1 round, or maybe even a complete match on the other stream.
You never really know.
You never really know. But we have an important match ourselves here. Opening the hatch here, making sure no C4 comes through. Indeed did not. Elevate. 2 minutes left on the clock. They need to start isolating these players. Still, SDK hiding behind the desk, hoping to go unspotted, but it seems like Cash is not going to be a point of contact here for the side of Elevate. They don't want to go there. As I said, of course, someone jumps down onto the balcony. Monty starts pushing in. Sapper will surely be able to get a bit of a clear, especially with SDK running up, now running away. So his hiding has not paid off.
There it is, the spray round and a bit of the cover. Sapper's tucked onto the corner, and the smokes will just sort of put a bit of an element of waiting down. Gives FURIA time to rebuild, restructure, and do this. Fantasy, he's retaken a bit of territory. He takes the second. The kit's cold. They find a fight on the site itself at the same time. Sapper's inside, but without the kit, FURIA can rebuild around it. Important that they were at least able to take out a player, but there's still a fair few ahead of them, and Fantasy is one of them. Sapper's on the board. Mr. Punch and DCH have their moments to try and offer either side, but a bit of a break and a lull as they try and reevaluate positioning.
No hard breach to go through any of these walls as well, so they need to go for a push through the choke point, through these doorways, and that is not going to be crucial. That is going to be a lock off there. Fantasy, though, gets completely flushed out by Sapper. With that, it's back on 303, 40 seconds. It's plenty of time to work with. The diffuser has been recovered. Grenades are being tossed in from below, but won't be able to connect as of yet. There's still 3 more to go, though. Mr. Punch below. We do have DCH with 2 on equal levels. It is going to be a nitro to be tossed in. No damage done to Sapper. Well done. A PCUT utility taken out. Nothing left but guns now for the side of FURIA. Mr. Punch coming up from the yellow stairs, looking to first recover, gets the kill onto Miracle. It seems like Elevator turning this around, even though they managed to drop the diffuser this early on the side of FURIA. Now a player right behind onto the balcony. The plant seems to be coming down. Is the cover on point? Yes, it is. It is going to be Elevate that win it against FURIA. They take 3 points. They are on top of the group, and look at how happy they are. They deserve it, and with that, most likely will confirm themselves today.
I mean, everyone in the room in Berlin can hear Justin and can hear the team. Elevate, undefeated, full 9 points, top of the board. FURIA made them sweat, which we will break down after a very quick break, but they will celebrate as they have earned it. See you in just a moment. Hello and welcome back here in the post-game and the post-group energy, at least the halfway mark of Group D. Elevate versus FURIA. It was a heck of a game, but only one person or one team can win. Elevate 7-5.
A 7-5 victory as they managed to outdo FURIA on the attack on Theme Park. I didn't think I would say today that Theme Park was going to be attack-sided, but apparently this game it was. Great use of the Monty, I have to say. Just flushing out these players, even if they're 2 men down, somehow being able to turn it back around and win that very final round. But it wasn't just that round. It was also other rounds where the Monty came in. It's other rounds where Elevate realized, oh, there's one person on the side. Why would we take top floor control? Their attacks, dynamic, unfortunately unable to win Armory Throne, but that's the only real downside we saw.
And I think that's it, really, is FURIA put up a huge fight. We expected it. We wanted it. It's still halfway through. Everything can still technically shift and change, but Elevate taking the full 9 points when earlier on in the day we saw the other team struggle. Well, let's see how that shaped things up in the group itself. We can go through a couple of them as well, because obviously the other games have been playing on the A stream, 2 of the groups.
Yep.
I believe now we're at that confirmed. So let's get the first one up, shall we? Group A. And this was Rogue, NIP, Exet, Damwon, Kia. So Damwon, Kia played their first game this morning versus Exet and lost it by the looks of things. And Rogue and NIP, with Rogue, I think, losing theirs versus NIP. So
7-5, they've lost it.
7-5. It's a pretty intense fight in that group. Damwon Kia, unfortunately, find themselves a bit struggling.
Yeah, unable to really compete yet with the other teams in this major. So who knows, it might still turn around. There is still an opportunity for them to get into that top 3. I don't know if they're completely out now because 9 points, the maximum they can get. The other 3 are already on 6. This is a group where, which Booney said, 13 points confirms you.
Well, this is our group here, Group D, Elevate. They've just taken that 3, and as I said, put themselves onto 9 points, a huge round difference. M&M, a single point. And as you said, there's a total of 9 more points to grab. So technically, there's always still the chance of a screen back to the top. But Elevate have done a lot of the busybody work to put themselves so close to qualifying.
Yeah, just a single point, maybe 2 to get themselves secured, but we'll get back into that later today. Of course, when those matches start coming down, and if we just look at the summary right here, Onigiri and Sapper pulled in massive shifts for the side of Elevate, but we cannot forget Fantasy. 14 on 12. He managed to get so many entry kills onto the side of FURIA, just unable to finally drag the rest of the team across the finish line.
It was a big showing, and that's the thing to take away from this. FURIA is they had their 2 wins yesterday. Technically, this has been the toughest opponent. Is the only one that I think has made them properly sweat.
Yep.
The FURIA game yesterday's where they were in direct control. Even though they lost a couple of rounds, it was still a FURIA game. This was both of them. There wasn't really a single team that ever once said, this is ours, the same way they did yesterday. It's everything we kind of wanted. Because they're going to meet again towards the very end. And I have a feeling that's going to be just as spicy.
Who knows, it might even decide if one of them will be making it or not. I mean, at that point, maybe Elevate will already be confirmed. Maybe FURIA not yet because they just lost out here. But who knows? That's all just speculation. But I think it is going to be time to toss us to a quick break because we've got a new set of matches coming in. New groups that we will finally finish the first round of Robin before we start the second. So get yourself some snacks, get yourself some drinks, stay hydrated. It is warm. That's important. So see you soon.